welcome back to the National League Natter. And just like that, we are about to approach into double figures for game weeks already. I can't quite believe it. I don't know where the season's going, but we're here, and I'm back with my best male co-host. I shall just preference, and that is that is Chris. Hello, mate. How are you doing? Welcome
Um,
back to the preview show. Albeit Lauren is returning from the USA tomorrow as we speak, so this will be your last shift, hopefully, on the preview show, and then we can get back to doing reviews like we love to do. But first of all, just quickly, how have you enjoyed your time covering on the preview show? And also, how excited are you that we're in match day number 10 already?
Thank you for the lovely introduction. I appreciate it. No, it's to be honest, I'm happy. I'm happy I've done my shift. To be honest, I hate doing predictions, especially with your little bet you have on. So there's no more pressure from me, and with my predictions, they've been absolutely shocking. But
I
no, I'm
mean,
excited for this game week though.
I have to give you some thanks before we start, really, because you've been so bad at predictions. I've been able to build a serious, almost unsurmountable lead for Lauren to try and chase back by the time she gets back. So I appreciate your
Gonna be a bit of cash there, I think.
partaking in that for me, definitely. But before we get on to that sort of stuff, because that comes in the second half of the podcast, shall we start as we always start and look back at any sort of reviews we need to do from a Tuesday game week? And there wasn't a Tuesday game week as such this week, but there was one rearranged game, and it was the rearranged game of that funny, almost embarrassing situation for Southend. Obviously, they missed their train to Fylde a couple of weeks ago, and the league ended up cancelling the game. So that game actually happened on Tuesday night, and it was I think many people would probably call it a shock win for AFC Fylde against the Shrimpers on Tuesday night. Uh, um, a 2-1 win for Fylde comes fresh off the sacking of Chris Beach, which me and Kieran spoke about in the review on the review on Monday. So I think it just keeps proving that these new manager bounces, people just think, oh, they're all psychological. But there's more statistics, isn't there, to back up that a new manager bounce is a real thing than anything else, isn't there, Chris?
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see like the two sackings that have happened so far in the second game. They've not lost. So look, it's definitely worked, and look, it's a good result for Fylde. Obviously, Nick Horton scoring again. Getting them. He's going to be crucial for them if they want to stay in this division. And Morris has just. I think he's on 7 goals already this season from fullback, which is insane. But look, Southend will be really disappointed with their start to the season, and they kind of wanted to push on, especially after if they didn't have the points deduction, they would be all right. They wouldn't have gone down. They could
Yeah.
have gone up. But no, they've not started well. I think there's quite a lot of frustration from the fans. Obviously, they kind of, last season was just stay in the league, and now maybe it's a bit of a build on it. But look, they've not started as well as they wanted to. But fair play to File for winning a tough game at home.
I do think it's. I mean, me and Kieran spoke about it a little bit on Monday, but I just wanted to get your opinions quickly on the South End situation. I do wonder now whether because they're not working in such high pressure surroundings with the like uncertainty of a takeover and whatever. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that the players only raise the game when they face adversity, but you can see it sometimes. You can get a little bit too comfortable, and obviously they've signed a lot of players now. And do you think they've kind of underestimated this division now? They thought they would get, now they've got a little bit of money and they're signing players. Do you think they thought, oh, we'll just get our ownership issue sorted and we'd be flying up this division? Where anyone that's been in this division for long enough knows this division is awful. Like it's a great division, but I mean it's awful to try and get out of at your first, second, or even third attempts.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think obviously from Southend's kind of perspective, maybe they're kind of for me. I think they needed a strike, and they signed Josh Walker, but as when we had him very injury prone. And look, if you keep him fit, he's a good player, but if you don't have him available, you're going to struggle. And look, they've sold another one of their strikers, Cardwell to Forest Green, so they're really lacking in that department. And look, they've scored 7 goals from right back, which I think says a lot about how many goals they're scoring, and it's not a lot. And look, it's definitely a tough time for Southend because if results don't prove at the end of the day, like this may sound harsh, but the buck does stop with the manager, and he's done a
Mm.
great job last season. But you can't just keep relying on last season to back you up into this season. So it'd
The
be
only thing I
interesting to
would
see what
say is
happens.
I slightly disagree in terms of I think Mayer gets a lot of borrowed time from Southend
100%.
fans and the Southend board probably because he, like you just said, he worked wonders last year in probably one of the most difficult, situations a football club can find themselves in. So I think unless Southend get into a relegation fight and adrift, I don't think they'll part company with Mayer that easily. But it's football; weirder things can happen. Who knows? But just to finish off on the review, then obviously it's a temporary management duo in Fylde at the minute. We are yet to see who will take over the reins full time, but it's the EFL veteran striker Nathan Delfonso and Chris Neal, I believe, as a duo. Obviously, if they are looking to put themselves in the shop window, 3 points from free to start your little interim charge, 2 goals scored. It's quite a solid start, right?
Yeah, it's a great start. I think you couldn't really have had a better start, and Fylde have a decent squad as well. So you'd like to think that maybe it'd be interesting to see who they get if they, give some more time to the interim manager to see how he goes. You can't. I don't think you can really get someone in off one game. We've got them next Saturday, and it'd be interesting to see if they've got a permanent in charge or they're still sticking with Nathan Delfonso. But look, I think they're going to be really happy with their start and just try and build on it and try and get the confidence in the dressing room is the key thing for Fylde, and they've got off to a good
Yes,
start.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Now, just a little bit of topical news before we look ahead to the weekend's games. A couple of months ago, before the start of the season, it was announced that there was a new, exciting, as a National League branding it, a new exciting competition where basically a bunch of National League teams are going to be playing a bunch of under 21 Premier Elite teams. Does this sound familiar, Chris, by the way?
It's just
And
shocking.
the sort of sticking points for the National League, why this is a good idea, even though if they actually listen to the fans, nobody, unless the teams actually need money, which is probably a good reason for it, I guess. But none of the fans want this competition to happen. But it's happened, and we're here. So basically, the premise of this competition is I I believe it's a straight knockout, isn't it? It's a straight knockout competition, I believe. It's not like the Johnson's Paint. I might be wrong, but I don't think it's like the
No,
Johnson's Paint.
no, I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
So
I
yeah.
thought it was a
So
knockout
you,
cup.
so each team has 4 games between October and January against the Premier League and under 21 sides, and then it's done on points. So if you get,
All
let's say,
right.
you win all
See
four,
that shows how much notice I took to the Pizza Cup, and that
each,
shows how much notice I'll take to this competition as well. To be fair, I just think I think they've massively underestimated their audience with something like this. I get it because we were speaking about off camera that there's £1 million prize money for the winners, which obviously is monumental at this level, and I understand teams that would need money, but also we with where we start in the FA Cup, for instance, and the FA Trophy. There's already enough competitions and enough games to be played. Do we really need an extra group of games when some teams in this division struggle for the squad depth as it is, Chris? And I don't see any positives really, apart from maybe if you're struggling for money, because we know the attendances are going to be very similar to the ones of the Johnson's Paint EFL Papa John's Trophy, whatever we want to call it. They're probably going to be maybe sub 1,500 at most games. Like, so it's not like the players are going to be playing in front of big crowds. Obviously, you might get the odd Tuesday where I don't know, say like like for instance, I'm trying to think. Um, so just going off track a little bit. I know Kyle Walker played for Manchester City's under-23s the other day to regain his fitness back a little bit. So you might get occasions like that where if say Oldham play Manchester United's under-21s or whatever in the competition, and they've got Casemiro injured, let's say, and then they use Casemiro as sort of in that game to regain his fitness. You might get the odd sort of big star playing in these games, but there's nothing really for the fans to get excited about in these games, is there really? That's what I'm trying to say, and I just don't really understand it. Do you?
No, I'm the same as you. I think it's such a misstep from both the National League and the Premier League. Look, obviously, I get the side from the Premier League. They want to develop their younger players, against teams in the fifth division who look, they're very different to academy football. This is like non-league proper football. That is academy football, and the National League is completely different style. So on that point, I get it, but for fans, I think it's just there's nothing to be excited about. Obviously, the money is good. Look, as you said, the £1 million prize fund is good, but I'm like, what's the point? What like you we talk about fixture congestion. We've got rid of FA Cup replays. Why? For the Premier League teams. And now we're bringing in this cup for the Premier League
For
teams.
another thing for the Premier League teams.
Well, what's the point? It boggles my mind. I'm like, I am so happy that my club Barnet are not in it because it's the biggest waste of time. I would have had to
That's
go for 4 Tuesdays down the Hive, a cold Hive between October and January, which I can't be bothered to do. I'm down there enough. I don't need to be going to 4 games, which I don't gain anything from it. And I've got you got to, but the clubs. I think they should be free for season ticket holders. I know
yes.
100% they won't be because the clubs are going to try it. They'll make it maybe a five or tenner a ticket, but I don't get it. Like it gets me. It
I
actually gets me angry. It gets me really
I would
angry.
love to know the sort of we hazard a guess at whether it was like an open, not an open invitation, but whether the clubs could say yes or no. But we don't actually know for sure. But I would love to know how they worked out what teams were going in it because there's 8 National League teams that aren't in it, including Solihull, Moors, and Barnet. So what's give them the opportunity to say no? I wonder. I don't know whether you have any sort of intel on that, Chris, or whether you know why. Or
Well, the only intel I have is I was told Dean Brennan did a thing. One of the like after that character interview, which is we've talked about it in previous shows. He was like, "Oh, we'll do a talk before the game at 12 o'clock at the Hive." I didn't go, but someone said that week that we wouldn't be participating. Maybe we've opted out. But at the start of the tournament, they said it's going to be the top 16 teams in the National League from the previous season. But obviously, that's either false information or it's just changed. So, yeah,
yeah.
I'm happy we're not in it. It's just the biggest
I
waste of
mean,
time. So,
it's one of them, right? People might look at us and think, yeah, but I can guarantee if Oldham or Barnet would get to the final, both of these boys would be at Wembley.
mhm.
And
I don't
genuinely,
think I'll
hand
be
on
at
heart,
Wembley.
genuinely hand on heart right now, I don't think I'll probably be at Wembley. I'd rather wait on the off chance that at some point we're going to get to a playoff final in this division. And that's where I can get my Wembley glory. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm very strong on my opinions on these types of competition, and they won't change. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm sure we'll be talking about it more as the season goes on, unfortunately. So let's not waste more of our time. So moving on now, let's look ahead to no. In fact, before we look ahead, let's just finish our little um, review and do Chris's game of the week from the last preview, last Thursday, which was, as we've just spoken on, it's quite strange actually how it worked out because it was York versus Fylde, and I believe we've almost predicted the future when I give you this one because it directly impacted, as we have already discussed, Chris Beech's immediate future at AFC Fylde off the back of that, Chris. So, would you like to just talk on the game a little bit and your thoughts, and do a little bit of a ref review, and then we can get cracking on this set of fixtures?
Yeah, we'll do. So, York made it to the top of the table with a win, 3-0 win over Fylde, and it was a second half show with 3 goals in 40 minutes. And look, York had looked really strong this season. I think we both kind of had our doubts with the ownership structure over the summer, but look, they've done an unbelievable job. And ex-Barnet boy Marvin Armstrong scored the first goal, and then the man himself, the shop, got his second. And I think he scored about 4 goals off the bench this season, which is ridiculous. And then Callum Harriott came in the 90th minute and got the third goal. But Fylde did have a red card, which I have looked back on, and it's a shocker. It is a shocker.
As in bad tackle or a shocking decision from the
Bad
ref?
tackle, really
All right.
bad tackle in the 42nd minute, which just before half time, and then I think that's given York all the momentum that they've really needed and wanted to go and win that game, which set them top of the table, and they've started off really strongly. So they've been a surprise. I think a surprise package. I don't expect them to be top after 9 games, but be interested to see if they can continue that form for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you sort of say on the sort of ref watch of that game?
Watching back, I think look, obviously there was five yellow cards in the game with a red card. I did think the red card was a red card. I think there's no arguing on that one, but I'd give the ref a 5 because I saw a couple dodgy decisions in there. Just looking through the highlights and their Twitter, but no, I'll go for a 5 for the referee. Thomas Parsons, you need to improve, mate.
Nice, nice. I'm sure Mr. Parsons will be listening to this podcast
Hope you're not
eagerly.
listening. Hope you're not reffing on Saturday for our derby.
So now finally we can look ahead, and I'll do what I always do. I'll do a quick run top to bottom of the games, and then we can pick any that sort of stand out between us, and then pick your game of the week and our joint game of the week from there. So this weekend we have Aldershot versus York. So it'll be interesting to see whether York can carry this phenomenal start to the season onwards. We have Altrincham versus Boston. We have Braintree versus Tamworth, the battle of the newly promoted sides. I think that'll be an interesting one personally. Eastleigh versus Rochdale, another one of now Rochdale's kind of trickier run or trickier section of the sort of early quarter of the season, shall we say. And obviously we've seen how they did on the last weekend when they came up against one of what we class as the more elite teams in this division, if you can be elite, and in the National League at Solihull Moors. So that I think that'll be an interesting one because I think a lot of Rochdale fans will be expecting a response from that game. We've got Fylde versus Woking. Gateshead Forest Green, Chris. Instantly, that's screaming like tasty to me,
100%.
just because of how both teams have started, and also talking about a response for Rochdale. Wow, if we think Rochdale need a response, then I don't know what Gateshead need, but it's like a double, triple response, if we're being honest. And to kind of, it's interesting one that to kind of go from the 7-1 shock and Rob Elliott saying we need a response. Do you think he would have preferred to play somebody maybe other than Forest Green for this response, or do you think he will be relishing the task of getting Gateshead back and sort of ignoring any of them doubts that people might have by doing it against another one of the elite teams that are going to be challenging them this season? Which way do you think he would probably prefer it if he was looking at this fixture list after the 7-1 drumming?
Don't think he would have chosen to play Forest Green for sure because that is a really tough game. They're up there and they've looked really strong pretty much all season. And look, obviously this I wasn't there on the review show, but the 7-1 was ridiculous. If no one saw it coming, no one. If someone said 7-1, they're lying. But look, Gateshead do need a bounce back, and they've had a good start as well. But I think it's just one of those off days where you lose, but. I think when you go 4-1 down, you can't concede that many. You just got to shut up the shop and
Yeah.
take your loss, take your medicine, and then move on
Yeah,
to
I
the next
think
game.
it's interesting as well because I spoke about how maybe Gateshead need a plan B that we haven't really seen from them since they've been in this division. So I imagine once they hit 3-1 or 4-1 down, they just kept trying to go forward and score goals, and that's probably where they got opened up maybe a little bit. So yeah, I think the response from them will be interesting. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on, and moreover. Then we have Hartlepool versus Dagenham. Obviously, can Dagenham continue the unreal goal scoring form that they seem to be in at the minute? Maidenhead versus Halifax. My boys, Oldham Athletic versus Yeovil at home, which I'm being a fake fan this weekend, Chris. I'm not going to be in attendance because Wembley's calling my name for probably the biggest night in British boxing for a long time, which I'm very excited about. But that's why I'm not going to be at the game, unfortunately. Then we have Solihull Moors versus Southend United, Sutton versus Ebbsfleet, and then in the half five, it is Chris's boys away to it's Derby Day, isn't it, Chris? Pretty much.
Derby Day.
It's
Derby Day.
Wealdstone away on the half five. I'm guessing that's a TNT game, right? Or it's not
It's a
TNT
design.
anymore, is
It's a
it?
design game.
The zone game, yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be a spicy one for sure. But straight away, if you were asked me to have a look and pick out my like key fixtures for reasonings, I would probably go to York to see if they can continue this great start. I would look at Braintree, Tamworth because of it's the battle of the two newly promoted sides and how we think Tamworth have adapted a little bit better than the others so far. Rochdale need a response, so you're looking at that. You're also looking at Gateshead, Forest Green for reasons that the two big teams that are going to be up there, but also the fact that Gateshead are so desperate for a response. I think you're looking at what else do I think's good on here? I would probably put us in there as well to see if we can just get another win to make it 4 wins, 5 draws, and 1 loss from 10 games, which would be quite an incredible start, really, if we're being honest. And then the other one, obviously, that sticks out straight away is Wealdstone versus Barnet, just because it being
Tough game.
logistically very close. And I know you and Adam have probably had banter in the Works group chat about it leading up to this. And it's a derby, isn't it? So you've always got to keep that in mind. But other than that, have you got any sort of different ones that are sticking out to you for any reasons, Chris?
Not really. Not that maybe Solihull Southend. I think will be an interesting game. See if Southend can kind of bounce back from their difficult start to the season. Dagenham, be interested to see how they do at a strong Hartlepool side, but I think you've said it. I think if you had to pick a three, it would be Gateshead, Forest Green, Aldershot, York, and then the big derby in Northwest London, Wealdstone
Yes.
against Barnet. It's more
Although
than just a derby.
Yeah,
It's
so we had the little starter last weekend in the North London derby, but now
this
this
is
is
the
the one
proper North London derby.
that this is
They're
the
not
one that people care about now.
Spurs Arsenal doesn't mean anything. Wealdstone Barnet, there's a lot more on writing on that.
He's only saying that because Chris doesn't want to reveal he's got a second team, and that second team is apparently Spurs. But
That is correct. No.
we won't go there. We won't go there. But so again, I will look down the table, the fixture results now, and we will first of all let's try and come together and come to an agreement and pick the tie of the week. I think there's only 2 options here for me. So it depends whether you want to be fully biased and pick it out for it being a derby, or whether we need to go Gateshead Forest Green tie of the week because of the position that both teams are in at the minute. Like, which way are you sort of swaying?
I'm not. I'm going to be biased because I do think our game is bigger. No, I'm not trying to be biased, but you
But
think Wealdstone
can I just
wins?
play devil's advocate a little bit?
Go on, go on,
Take
go on.
take the derby out of it a little bit, the derby element. Are you not expected to beat Wealdstone most seasons you play Wealdstone anyway?
No, have you
No,
seen
I mean
our?
you might not have got a good record against them, but if you've got title aspirations, you're
Oh
expected to
yeah,
beat Wealdstone, aren't you?
we should, but I'll be honest. I don't think it'll be as easy as a lot. Well, I think a lot of Barnet fans are quite nervous for the game, but look, I to be honest, even if it was a different derby, I do think that is one of the biggest games of the weekend. But look, if we want to go for Gates of Forest Green, I'm happy for that.
You know what? I will treat you twice on this podcast because what I'm going to say is I will give you Barnet Wealdstone for joint game of the week, and also because I am technically not across any games this week, and I say games, the Oldham game, I would like you to look down the list and pick your own game of, or bear in mind actually you're picking a game of the week for Lauren to cover next week, if that makes sense. So you can pick one for Loz on her return.
Okay. I'm gonna be kind to her. I know she likes this team. I'm gonna go Hartlepool Dagenham.
Nice. Any particular reasons why that one's sticking out to you?
Oh, I know she likes Dagenham. That's it.
Is that the only
That's
reason?
the only reason.
Okay,
I have.
fair enough.
That is
Fair
it.
enough. You can't really argue with that, I guess. So just to recap, that is the joint tie of the week for me and Lauren to cover next week is the proper London derby between Barnet and Wealdstone, and then Lauren's game of the week on her arrival back from the USA is Dagenham versus Hartlepool. That is correct, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Also, the other thing I would like to preface about the Wealdstone Barnet game is for one of the four of us, one of two of us on this podcast, the loser of that derby on Saturday will. It's going to be awkward for the next couple of recordings, right? Because we have Adam in here that's a Wealdstone fan, and we have you as a Barnet fan. So the probability is one of the teams is going to get the 3 points. I know there's a big chance that it could be a draw as well, but one of you is probably going to get burnt, isn't it? And are you nervous about that prospect, Chris?
I'm ready for it. I think the thing is, this derby it's not like it's a weird kind of derby because like obviously we kind of stole their ground, which they're not very happy about. But like it's not like a local derby. It means so much. So if we lose it, I'm not going to be speaking to Adam for the foreseeable future until we play them next. So just got
I didn't know we had our own MK franchise in the National League.
pretty much it's close. It's close. It's a story for another day.
You know what we think of them over here?
We're not a fan.
We're not a fan, and we won't be a fan of Barnet if I do my research, and that's what you've done to poor Wealdstone, let me tell you. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked, and this is a streamlined version of the National League United preview today because I have prior engagements to attend very, very soon. So, with that being said, let's cut to an ad break, and you can listen to the wonderful people that help fund our podcast and make it possible for us to do this amazing piece of content week in, week out. And we will be back with you in a couple of minutes. So, Christoph. So we are at the point of the podcast where you are doing your potential. I'm not going to say final of the season in case, because you never know. Me, Lauren, something could happen. We could get ill one week and we need you drafted in. But it's probably going to be your last predictions for a good number of weeks.
Good.
About that. And first of all, would you just give us a recap of last week's scores and where we think, this is obviously very rough scores, but where we think we're at going into this week?
Well, so the last week's scores. Obviously, my maths isn't the best, as previously said on this podcast many a time, but I will give you a shout on the scores. Okay, so you said Barnet 3-1, and it was 3-1 to the Bees, so you got a good. That's a big pull. 1-1 was the Boston Aldershot result. You went 2-1 shots. I went 1-0 Boston, so no points from either of us there. You went Ipswich 1, Hartlepool 1. I put Ipswich 0, Hartlepool 2, so you both no points for us there. And then Vegans against Wealdstone, you put 2-0 to Forest Green, and I put 3-0, and somehow it was 2-2. They went 2-0 up. I thought, yeah, easy. No,
no points there.
No points there. And then Halifax Eastleigh, you put 2-1 to Eastleigh. I put 1-1 draw, and Halifax 1-3-1. So that's another nil point. And then Rochdale Solihull, you put 2-2 draw. I put a 2-1 win for Rochdale, and Solihull won. So that's another nil point. Then Southend Sutton. You went for a 1-0 Sutton win, and I went for a 2-0 Southend win. So you get the points there, and I get another 0.
So
And
that's
then
5-0, right?
yeah. I think so. I think so. We'll have to ask the
No,
mathematicians.
I think it is 5-0 based on how we've been scoring it. We've been following Lauren. Well, we're trying to follow Lauren's scoring pattern, and if that is right, this is how it should be. So it's currently 5-0. Carry on,
Okay.
Chris.
All right. Cool. Tamworth Maidenhead was a 3-1 win. You put 0-0 up, and I put a 2-0 win for Maidenhead. So that's another 0 points. Then Woking Oldham was a 3-1 win for Oldham. You must be happy with that. And you backed your boys with a 2-1 win. I know. I just wanted to annoy you and put 1-0 Woking, and that didn't go my way. And that's 0 points for me. But I've just looked, and I've got a big 3 points in this game.
You got 3 points.
I've got 3 points, mate. You put Yeovil nil. No, the score was Yeovil nil, Altrincham nil. You put a 1-0 Yeovil win. I've gone tactical with a 0-0 draw. Get in. That's 3 points.
So that's
And then,
5-3.
see, what a comeback. When you think it's all lost. Jeez. And then Yeovil 3-0 against Fylde. You put 3-1 and I put 4-2, so you get the points on that just because of goal difference.
So it's
So it's
that's
7-3.
7-3.
And I don't think Dagenham won 7-1. You put 2-1 Gateshead. What did I put? What the hell's going on? I put 4-1. So that puts you 7-3 up. So, yeah, nice
And
one,
is that the end?
That is the end.
So
That is the...
add 7 onto the actual score that you can see.
Yeah, I see. Let's just
And then
compile my misery. Why don't we? I'm saying.
and give Lauren her pitiful 3 points as well. To be fair, I'll say this: since we have lost Lauren for a period of time, the actual points scored between the two of us for the last 6 weeks have been terrible. Really.
Okay, so you got what, 7?
Yes.
So I can reveal that you've extended your lead by a big 4 points,
Come on.
but you're only 10 points ahead.
Yeah, but if you would have said to me Lauren wasn't going to be here for the first 2 months of the season, and by the time she comes back, I'll be 10 points ahead on the predictions. Where, just so people are clear, bear in mind the forfeit to this. Last year's we had a little, the loser gets a winner's club's jersey on for the last game of the season. But this year, no, we've raised the stakes, and the winner gets to pick a tattoo and design a tattoo for the loser. So that's why the predictions mean everything. So a 10-point
Okay.
with Lauren coming back.
So it's 65-55.
We love to see it. I hope you're listening and watching this, Loz, and I can't wait to bring back the rivalry and the banter. And hopefully, you're going to need a bigger comeback than Istanbul at this point. So you can thank Chris for the deficit. But
No words.
shall we? Well, we're saying 10 points for when Lauren comes back. Technically, it could be widened by this game week.
It will be more than 10 points. I guarantee it.
Shall we get ahead to this week's predictions then?
I think I'm going to have to. I'm
You can
happy
go
it's my
first
luck.
this week. You can go first this week because I went
Wow.
first last week.
What a privilege. Right, predictions time. Right, last one. Come on. Right, here we go. So, Aldershot against York. Do you want me to write these down?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Aldershot against York. I think York will stay top of the table. I'm going to go 2-0 York in the first game. I think York have enough just to get over the line. But it is going to be a tough game. Then Alty Boston. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Alty win. I think Alty will go strong and win. Braintree Tamworth. So this is a tough game. Watching Braintree last week, they weren't even that bad. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Braintree Tamworth in the battle of the new boys. even though they're not so new, giving it game week 10. Then Eastleigh Rochdale. That's a tough one. I'm going to go again for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to stick on the fence. Maybe
Oh,
that's been.
he's trying to protect the gap. He's trying to protect the gap.
Got to do something to protect it. And then Fylde Woking. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Fylde win. Nick Horton will score both. It's just guaranteed. No one else scores for Fylde. And then Gateshead against the Vegans. I think Gateshead will bounce back. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Heed win against Forest Green Rovers. Then
Clean sheet
Hartley.
after conceding 7.
No, they got to close. They got to tighten up at the back, I think, after that. So tactical. Yeah, even though my predictions are poor, but we don't go there. Hartlepool against Digger Daggers. I'm going to go for another draw. I'm going to go for a 0-0. I think they've scored all their goals last week, and I don't think they're going to score any this week. So I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw up in the northeast. And then we've got Maidenhead against Halifax. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away win for Halifax Town. And then Oldham. Do you win against a strong Oval side at Barnet
Strong.
Park?
I'm not trying to like sway you, but
No.
I don't know whether we can say your overall start to the season's been that strong. To be honest.
Oh, they're in the top half. It's good from being relegated. It's decent.
Yeah, but again,
Well,
maybe it's because I expect more from Yeovil, but I think you look at that and they've obviously, I know they've won 4 games, but they've also lost 4 games and they've got a 0 goal difference. I just think I was maybe expecting a little bit more, but I know they're newly promoted, but so maybe I need to stop the nostalgic factor. But anyway, that's for my discussion later on. So you carry on, mate. You carry
interesting.
on.
Thank you for that. Boundary Park's not a strong place for the home side. We go Oldham 0, Yeovil 1. Okay, and then we've got Solihull Southend. I think Solihull win this 2-0 against Southend. I think their struggles will continue.
These are some brave predictions, you know. Get your
So
head
big
to
old-
keep a clean sheet after losing 7-1. Oldham to lose a game, even though we've only lost once in 9 games. What else did you do? Southend to lose again? Wow. Lauren,
I don't think that's.
just so you're aware, I think this man is purposely trying to throw now he knows he's
No.
that far behind.
I have my dignity. This is what I would do if this tattoo was on the line. I think it'd be over for me if it was, to be fair, with how many games and weeks there's left. But anyway, I've got 2 more. Sutton against Ipswich. Sutton got back to winning ways. I think they'll continue that with a 3-1 victory over Ipswich. And then the last one, Wealdstone Barnet. This is going to be such a tough game. Obviously, our record there is shocking. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win. I think we get over the line. And that is my predictions done. My last predictions ever done. Thank God. No more of that. So that's my predictions done.
Nice. So, do you want to give us a top to bottom on your predictions?
Okay, so I've gone Aldershot 0, York 2, Alty 3, Boston 1, Braintree 1, Tamworth 1, Eastleigh 1, Rochdale 1, Fylde 2, Woking 0, Gateshead 2, Vegans 0, Hartlepool 0, Daggers 0, Maidenhead 0, Halifax 1, Oldham 0, Yeovil 1, Solihull 2, Southend 0, Sutton 3, Ipswich 1, and then Wealdstone 1, Bees DOS.
Nice. Right. So, let's shake things up a little bit. So, I am going to be in agreement that York will continue their good start to the season and potentially keep on top of the league. But I'm going to say they're going to concede a goal, but I think they will score an extra goal. So I think it'll be 3-1 to York. Boston, Alty. I keep thinking week upon week, surely something's going to click for Altrincham soon. Surely they're going to dig themselves out of this hole, but I just don't know whether I have faith in them. You know what? You know what? Stick with my gut. 1-0 Alty.
Interesting.
Braintree Tamworth. I don't think there's going to be much in this. I think it'll be a 1-1. Eastleigh Rochdale. I think Eastleigh will win this game, and I think Rochdale will suffer back-to-back defeats for potentially the first time this season. And I think Eastleigh will win 2-1 at home. Woking Fylde, I think their new manager bounce kind of stops here, and I think Woking will get the 1-0 away win. Gateshead Forest Green. Now I'm completely the opposite here. I think we could potentially, even though it's only 2 games, I think we could potentially see this is the first probably period since Rob Elliott took it in at Gateshead where they start getting questioned a little bit, and maybe the mental side of the game gets questioned, and I think they'll suffer a defeat to Forest Green at home. I do think it'll be very tight though, so I'm only going to go 1-0 Forest Green.
Wow. That is a statement.
Hartlepool versus Dagenham and Redbridge. I don't see them scoring 7 again, unfortunately, Daggers fans. I actually think this is going to be another draw, and I'm going to say 1-1. Maidenhead, Halifax. I think the Shamen will win this game, and I think they'll win it 2-0. Oldham's Yeovil, I think, will get the job done and carry on pushing further and further into them playoff places, hopefully. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 Latics win. Solihull, Southend. I think Southend will get back to winning ways. And I think Solihull will put up a good fight, but I think this will be 2-1 Southend. Sutton, Ebbsfleet. I think Sutton will win this rather comfortably, and it'll be a 3-1 win for Sutton at home. And then Wealdstone versus Barnet. I like Adam, I really do. But even though you disrespected my team, I'm not going to do the same to you because I'm the bigger man. I think Barnet will win this game, and I think they'll win it rather comfortably. I think it'll be a 2 or 3. You know what? 3-1 Barnet.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to say.
You've not seen our record against these lot.
So, would you like to
Interesting.
top to bottom my results for us?
Yeah. Let me just type the last one. Right, so you went Aldershot 1, York 3, Alty 1, Boston 0, Braintree 1, Tamworth 1, Eastleigh 2, Rochdale 1. I've put Eastleigh twice, but I'll change that after. York 0, Fylde 0, York Woking 1, Gateshead 0, Forest Green 1, Hartlepool 1, Daggers 1, Maidenhead 0, Halifax 2, Oldham 2, Yeovil 1, Solihull 1, Southend 2, Sutton 3, Ipswich 1, and Wealdstone 1. The Mighty Bees 3.
Nice. So I've only got one draw in there.
Yes,
Wow.
only
You know
one
what?
draw. No,
If
two.
Lauren,
No,
if,
two draws, two draws.
if Lauren gets some points back this week, I wouldn't even be that bothered because at least you can't accuse me of sitting on the fence.
Well, there you go.
So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. And that brings us to almost the 45 minute mark of the podcast. And like I said, it's a little bit streamlined because of prior commitments. But considering it is potentially your last preview show for a while, would you like to lead us out with an intro? Maybe tell the listeners what you've thought of your time on the preview show, and then also tell them where they can listen and leave us reviews and all that good stuff, please, Christoph.
Yes, well, obviously, I'm hoping it's my last one because I really hate doing predictions because usually, as we've seen this week, I got one correct, which It's not great, but look, no, we appreciate it, and you'll see me every week on the review show anyway, and wherever you find your podcast, either if that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, just make sure to give it a 5-star rating, put any reviews, any suggestions, and would be greatly appreciated, and take all feedback on board for that. So thank you, and I'll see you back on the review show. Hopefully, I won't be here again because that means I have to do some dodgy predictions, which I don't want to do.
Well, for the record, I think you've been the perfect standing host for Lauren, and we've had fun. And but I'm looking forward. I think we're both looking forward to getting into a bit more of a normal routine again because we've both both mine and Lauren's American adventure over the last couple of weeks and months. It's been quite difficult to match everyone up. So hopefully, when Lauren is back, we are back in a more streamlined system, and you guys, you listeners and viewers, will see more duos that you're familiar with. So that's what we're hoping for anyway. But we have been the National League Natter. This has been the look ahead to match day number 10 in the National League. And until Monday, we shall bid you farewell, and we hope all your teams get the desired results this week.
Come on, Barnet.